Chapter 258 Now, only Yule and the divine tree remained on this moon. Earlier, Yule had engaged in a trial battle with two mist beasts created by the divine tree. The battle had concluded, and the divine tree spoke. "Do you know why I won?" Yule said nothing, remaining silent and slightly bowing his head, as if respectfully listening to a master's guidance. The divine tree continued, "Your power comes from absorption. You possess an extraordinarily powerful magnetic field control. In the battles ahead of us, this unique ability of yours will undoubtedly be essential." The divine tree's eyes gleamed like car headlights as it continued. "I need you to use your magnetic force to create wormholes, leading our army across the universe." At that moment, Yule's eyes also lit up, as if he had never encountered such a crazy idea in his life. However, Yule remained silent. The divine tree spoke again. "However, doing so will consume an enormous amount of spiritual energy. But no matter, I am here. The days ahead will no longer be mere minor skirmishes on Earth, but grander, larger, and more cosmic battles." Hearing this, Yule involuntarily turned his gaze to the vast universe, with countless stars twinkling. It was so vast that it seemed immeasurable. The divine tree would later have Yule frequently dwell in the space of thunder and lightning to cultivate and enhance his abilities. Despite being captivated by the beauty of the universe, Yule did not forget to respond politely, "Yes." The divine tree's face was grim. This idea had been brewing in his mind for a long time. The basic principles for creating a black hole were already within his grasp, but the challenge was finding a way to make his magnetic field power strong enough to create a wormhole. After that, they could lead a powerful army to conquer the universe. The divine tree could not simply stay in one place, waiting for a stronger force to come and kill him. Only by opening new territories in this vast space, finding opportunities to grow stronger, could the divine tree and Misty Mountain's path to survival be ensured. At the vast ocean, under the clear blue sky with white clouds and rippling waters, the marine clan, including the merfolk, was in shock at the sight before them. A male merman leader, with a stern expression, demanded, "Where have you been all this time?" The space fell silent, with only the bubbling sea foam continuing to churn. Standing before him was Elsa, the former queen of the merfolk and also his sister. Elsa's face was equally serious, her eyes blazing with determination. Even upon her return to the ocean, a few loyal guards remained willing to follow her. Her brother reproached her, saying, "When the war between our king and King Uziu broke out, you were nowhere to be found. Now that the war is over, you return. Aren't you ashamed?" Elsa didn't say much, bluntly declaring that from now on, she represented Misty Mountain. This statement immediately shocked the Marine clan and darkened her brother's face. She even decisively urged her brother to join Misty Mountain. At Misty Mountain, the dense fog shrouding the area indicated that its master was absent. The flower god was standing behind the Monkey King, both evaluating the warriors in their legion. The strength of these individuals had reached the transcendent third order, and their intelligence had met the required standard. The flower god excitedly exclaimed, "Excellent! This one has passed the test. Prepare the next one." Meanwhile, the two sisters, Xiao Lam, were discussing the leader of the group of apes. Originally, he was a white King Kong, but he had since evolved to resemble a human. However, they found it odd that this humanoid monkey had an unusually long tail, something they had never seen before. Ching Chong suddenly heard his name being called. He turned around and saw the flower god approaching with a group of mutated apes. What could be the reason for the flower god's beaming smile? The flower god dismounted from the back of one of the apes and announced that these ape warriors had been tested, proving to be formidable fighters. From today onwards, they would be entrusted to Ching Chong for training. Ching Chong immediately scratched his head, feeling a bit offended. Did this mean he resembled an ape so much? Meanwhile, the flower god, noticing his reaction, stammered in surprise, "What? What are you doing?" Oh my, during his free time, had he really created this? A magnificent fortress, though the support base seemed a bit weak. Ching Chong cheerfully explained. After the master left, a massive pit appeared in the place where he stood. I crafted something there and took my place, in the spot I've always longed for. The flower god, unable to contain her excitement over the beautiful creation, spun around and exclaimed, "Oh my, Ching Chong, you're incredible, absolutely brilliant." Ching Chong, flustered by the praise, blushed and modestly replied that it was nothing special and offered to reserve a room for the flower god on top of the fortress. The flower god then requested, "Could I have a spacious room? That way, the panda can sleep with me." This request utterly shocked Ching Chong. What was this about the flower god? More like flower lust. Ching Chong's spirits immediately plummeted at the thought that his masterpiece would simply become a love nest for these two. Meanwhile, the flower god gleefully ran off to invite the panda to sleep. The panda arrived shortly after, and upon seeing the fortress, he jumped up, praising Ching Chong as a genius. Ching Chong, pleased, offered the panda a room as well. But, of course, the panda demanded an even larger room. This was too much for Ching Chong and the apes. Infuriated, Ching Chong finally snapped, charging at the panda and giving him a good beating. He had had enough. Did they think this was some kind of hotel for them? In the time that followed, mutated beasts from Africa that had surrendered to Misty Mountain were continuously transported from Earth to the Moon, along with various spirit stones that had been mined. These spirit stones were then buried deep beneath the Moon's surface by the divine tree. As a result, the Moon's spiritual energy grew increasingly dense. In a large crater, the divine tree poured a substantial amount of life essence and then used his tree magic to cover the entire lunar surface with a thick layer of roots. The Moon now exhibited an unimaginable transformation. Half of it had become so green that it was clearly visible from space. After a day of laboring like a farmer, the divine tree gazed at the scene before him and happily remarked, "Labor is the greatest joy. The feeling of working is truly wonderful." However, the divine tree felt that a single lake of life essence like this was still not enough. He decided to take more from his own life space. The lake then expanded to cover several hectares, shimmering and cool, bringing a sense of peace and tranquility to anyone who saw it. The lake was now ample enough for everyone's use, yet the divine tree still felt something was missing. If it were up to me, that would be fine wine and beautiful women. But the divine tree had other thoughts. He looked over at the laurel tree and called out to it, commanding, "Use the moonlight to summon the azure dragon and the black wolf, along with the ox demon, the southern ice fish, and the evil dragon, destruction. Let them all come forth." These beings were the main forces of Misty Mountain. In building the moon, their presence was essential. They would play crucial roles in turning the divine tree's dream of conquering the universe into reality. At Misty Mountain, on a beautiful sunny day, the white tiger, instead of sleeping until noon as usual, was fiercely roaring in battle. Its opponent was none other than the fire phoenix, a creature seemingly tamed after the battle with the Australian Legion. The two beasts clashed head-on, but the phoenix had been deceived. How could the phoenix possibly match the sheer hardness of the white tiger's head? Yet, when the two collided, an explosion in mid-air tore through the space around them. As the dust and smoke cleared, the phoenix remained unscathed, while the white tiger's eyes blazed with intensity as it roared, "Everyone will die." The phoenix, now infuriated, shouted back, "How annoying! Stop saying that." It then began to gather spiritual energy in its mouth, preparing to unleash a thunderous strike. A deadly yellow bolt of lightning crackled through the air, but the white tiger, having mastered the space around it, easily dodged these long-range attacks with agility. However, that blast had already caused significant damage to an area of Misty Mountain. A massive explosion had occurred, and the white tiger suddenly realized with horror, wasn't this supposed to be just a practice match? The fire phoenix, now truly enraged, roared, "I don't care what you're trying to do with me. I won't let you touch me again. You've pushed me too far this time." And wasn't this the beast known as destruction, in the words of the divine tree? End of chapter 258.